Hi, I'm Paul Dansbach and welcome to Fire Engineering's Training Minutes. Today we're going to take a look at the laundromat behind us. This building is an ordinary constructed building, just like most buildings on Main Street, USA. We're going to look at some of the construction features of this building and a renovation that took place in the building that creates some concerns and hazards to firefighters. This building is about 100 years old. During the life of the building, there have been many commercial occupancies on the first floor. The current occupancy is a laundromat. The laundromat, in order to support the weight of the washing machines on the floor, they have added a concrete base over the wood floor system. We're going to go down to the basement to see how that additional weight is supported in the basement. We're down in the basement of this commercial occupancy. We're directly underneath the area where they have poured the concrete floor to support the weight of the washing machines in the laundromat. As part of that alteration, they've added steel columns and steel beams to support the additional load imposed by the concrete. We're going to take a look at the back of the building in a few minutes. The back of the building has another alteration to the floor system. One of the previous occupancies in this building was a restaurant. And as we're going to find out, they also poured a concrete floor over the existing wood floor system. This alteration has created some concerns for the fire service. So let's take a look at the floor in the back of the building. When the first floor of this commercial occupancy was converted to a restaurant, a major portion of the first floor, finished floor, and subfloor were removed. We're looking at the floor joist in the basement. Notice that there is no depth to the floor joist. During that renovation, a furring strip was added to each side of each floor joist. A piece of lumber was then installed in between each of the furring strips. A concrete floor was then poured directly over the floor joists and the lumber installed in between the floor joists. That concrete floor has imposed a very heavy load over that existing wood floor system. This building was originally constructed with cast iron columns. We see this cast iron column, we can recognize it as a cast iron column as the result of the ornamentation and the fluting of the column. Those are tip-offs that this is a cast iron column. Cast iron columns are also hollow. Cast iron by its very nature is subject to fracture and spalling. With the addition of the concrete floor being poured directly over the wood joists, we can see the impact that that additional weight has had on the structure. If we look up at our girder, the girder supports the floor joists. The girder is crushed down around the cast iron column. This is evidence that that concrete floor, which was poured over the wood joist, has added a significant amount of weight to this structure. This alteration creates a significant hazard to firefighters as a result of the additional weight being imposed on this structure. Should any of these cast iron columns fail during a fire, the weight of the additional floor is likely to result in a large area of the floor collapsing into the basement. When looking at the columns in the basement of any building, we have to understand structural hierarchy. In terms of structural hierarchy, a column is a very important component. The lower in the building, the more important in structural hierarchy the column becomes. This column supports the wood girder. The wood girder, in turn, supports another steel column. We can assume that that steel column runs up through the first floor and supports another wood girder, which in turn supports the second floor system. So failure of a column in the basement is likely to result in a large area of collapse of not only the first floor, the second floor, and potentially the roof of the structure. Through the life of the building may undergo several changes in occupancy and alterations. Firefighters should understand how the changes in occupancy and alterations affect the structural conditions within the building. Thanks for watching this session of Training Minutes.